So other remarks. But I think too serious to the first day. And dealing with that, if you have any other questions or statement or any topic suitable, you please come out with. The first question, do you have to practice jhanas to attain Nibbana? In the question, the jhanas, it's a Pali term, it is a kind of absorption, concentration up to the absorption level, and then it is called jhana. But if someone asks the question, do you have to practice concentration to attain the Nibbana? Definitely yes, that you have to have concentration, and then only through the concentration only you can see things as they are. That veil will be removed. And how much of the concentration is the problem? So jhana is one kind of a stage, solid stage, and jhanas you have two kinds, material and immaterial, and the material also 1, 2, 3, 4, and immaterial also 1, 2, 3, 4, there are 8. So whenever you read the canon, the Buddha presented the norm as the fourth jhana, that means the end of the material jhana, rupa jhana, and it must be reinforced with sati upekha, mindfulness and the equanimity. The fourth jhana, concentration at the fourth jhana level, reinforced with mindfulness and the equanimity is the one that standard one the Buddha has given in general term. And now we are compromising, this is the norm, what must be the minimum level. On that, at the commentary level, specifically the Visuddhimagga, that is the path of purification, it says Saupachara Atta Samapatti. Saupachara means access concentration at the minimum, and the highest is the 8th jhana. So access concentration is not a jhana, but it is almost close to the jhanic level. So the answer goes negative. It says without jhana you can go into insight, and then inside knowledge will lead to the Nibbana. So without the jhanic experience you can go to the Nibbana. And there are the arguments are there, called the debating and kind of thing. So for the last 30-40 years, that became a very crucial issue with the lay people, those who are having these responsibilities and duties and so much of work, can go up to these jhanic experiences, and then have there any hope for lay people to achieve Nibbana. Because the jhana practices, specifically at the absorption level, a lot of other conducive conditions are necessary. The silence, the freedom, and the solitude, all the kind of thing. So therefore, before 30-40 years, it has been rejected as impractical, improbable, impossible like. But some of the Burmese masters, they came out with an idea. They say the concentration is necessary, but if you start with the minimum level, as and when the insight knowledge happens, concentration also will catch up. As when the car is running, the battery is getting charged by the running dynamo, so therefore concentration also will develop accordingly and can go to the inside knowledge. And that make opening the door for the busy lay people, and therefore this gave a kind of a opening, opening the door for the lay people to come. And one person attributed that is one of the main reason why the Buddhism came to the West, that the Western people can have a hope. Even with a little concentration they can go on practicing. While practicing, one part of the practitioners can experience good concentration levels, somewhat up to the jhanic level. They are now recognizing them as samatha jhana, vipassana jhana, for insight absorptions and the conventional samatha jhana. So even after the 30-40 years of history telling that even without jhana you can go, now still there are some teachers, they argue telling this is impossible. This is that you must have to have jhana. Whenever the Burmese method came into being, Sri Lanka was the first country attack the Burmese method, telling this is impossible, impractical, therefore not valid. Theoretically, there a lot of correspondence went on, and ultimately the Burmese master told, no point of arguing this on the theoretical basis. Those who are practicing come to know the benefits of meditation, not the Nibbana, but before the Nibbana, some kind of a secular world, day-to-day life results, and therefore, if you observe the benefit that is going to give, whether you are going to win in the argument or not necessary. So therefore, by that time, the world has recognized this Burmese method, so he went on. Later, all these books has been published now, so therefore, we can keep it open, the issue. Jhana is, if it is available, good. But even without that, you must not lose your heart, you can continue with the practice. You can continue development of insight knowledges, and these are the proximate cause for the Nibbana, the supreme bliss. So therefore, simply in my case as a person, practically I find without jhana you can gain the substantial amount of results, physical and mental health, and still the hope is there, scope is there. You can carry on practicing. Later you may get, I became a monk and now I am in the forest. If I wish, I can practice now jhanic practices and go ahead. That's my best of my meditation was as a layperson. Before becoming a monk, and I was under a very firm belief jhanic experience are not necessary, and that is how the opening happened for a person like me. The other question is related to this Nibbana ceremony, sermons. The loud, the speed. Now it is the question is related to this Nibbana sermon. I don't know whether everyone is aware of it, and related to the page number 113, and written part is as the world an illusion, is the world an illusion, as school of European philosophers argue it is, or is it real, but it is only our perception of what it means that is illusion. Related to the page number 112 and 113, illusion to breakthrough. So, as I understand, the external world, what we see, what we hear, what we smell, touch, and all the kind of thing, is there any substantial reality, intrinsic reality over there, or is it an illusion? That is I think the question is asking, and this I will read a part of this Nibbana sermon number 6. Number 5. The world appears as real to one who is fettered to delusion. He imagines it to be reliable, and so the fool, relying on his assert, is encompassed by the darkness. To him the world appears eternal, but one who has the right vision know that in reality there is nothing. Moha sambandhano loko bhabbarupo dissati upati sambandhano balo tamasa pari varito sassato vya khayanti passato natti kinchana. The translation is that the world enfettered to delusion feigns a promising main. The fool, to his asset bound, sees only darkness around. It looks as though it would last, but to him who sees, there is not. As far as I am concerned, whenever the phenomena are going to take place, I mean when the seeing going to take place, hearing going to take place, whatever may be the sensory phenomena going to take place, each and everyone is being interpreted, each and every phenomena is being colored by our perception. Therefore, mostly our reaction to the seeing, hearing, smelling, touching is the matter going to create suffering. That is the one we have to see whether this reaction is reality or it's just nothingness. Otherwise, if you are going to check this the materiality and mentality in physics, recently I read, if you analyze the whole universe or multi-universe or multiverse, only the 5% they can reduce until 5% will 4% will be the materiality. Balance is the dark matter up to the 26%, and all the balance is dark energy. Still you can't perceive it. So therefore it is 4%, in which we can say within the bracket reality. Others are energies and dark matters, still very difficult to perceive. So that means very, very tiny part we have. But my concern is not that external world, whatever may be your reaction to what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch, that is the part going to create the suffering. Is that reaction based on reality, or it is just based on the perception, your memories, your liking and disliking, your personalities? So therefore this reaction, if you are ready to analyze in a radical way, that you can see simple vanity. So that will, I think, that way we may be leading our discussion to kind of an end. Otherwise, analyzing the external world, internal world, very difficult to go. When you are reading that Tao Physics by Fritjof Capra, he says the physics is analyzing the external world. Definitely, he says it is leading to nowhere. So Buddha is asking to analyze the internal way, and there also the yogi or practitioner's main aim is to take care, take surveillance, diligence about your reaction. Then you can see it is almost vanity. Almost you are based upon something, falsified values, falsified perceptions, memories, and therefore simply you can say all your appointments are leading to disappointments, because it is based upon these wrong values. And that also one has to, not to prove someone else's reaction, it is still going outwardly, one has to prove, analyze and live with one's own reaction, and then only you can understand that is a kind of a volatile thing, kind of a thing based upon the perception and the memories, and therefore as well you can completely live without reaction. Then the life is better and least environmental pollution, least amount of mental pollution. So you will try your best to live with least amount of reactions, or that we can say least amount of fabrication, least amount of mental preparations, and live as and when the thing happens, then and there. And that is the way we can go into a practical, pragmatic way. Otherwise, analyzing this scope for theory for the sake of theory. It says yet another episode is there, just for the adding to the discussion. As a sidelight, we may cite the episode from the lives of the Venerable Sariputta and Maha Moggallana, the two chief disciples of the Buddha. Formerly as Brahmin youths, they were known as Upatisha and Kolita, those two young men once went to see a hilltop festival called Giragga Samaja. Since by then their discerning wisdom was already matured, they suddenly developed a rejection about the entertainment going on. The hilltop festival, as it were, lost its festivity for them. They understood the vanity of it and could no longer enjoy it as before. Then the second part of the question, as an additional question to attach to the Nibbana Sermon book, when Kolita and Upatissa judged the hilltop festival as vanity, isn't that a judgment? When is okay to judge? Descent or descent and arahant not judge. So this is coming with that when they are observing this festival, they found there is nothing to binding, nothing to entertain. So they not left the festival ground, they left the whole lay life, renunciated and became the mendicants. So this vanity itself is seeing this whole world is as a vanity. The question is asking whether that is a reaction itself. Maybe this is also see all the positive things sometimes go to the completely negative. Overreaction can happen. So does arahant, does an arahant not judge? That is the way the non-judgmental mind is completely come to the full-fledged. When you come to the full understanding, till that you are slowly getting rid of or restraining or make a determination not to judge. And as the Krishnamurti says, action is very beautiful, but the reaction is the dirty part. So you have to first understand how it is destructive to you as a the environment, to the present moment as well as to the future. So whole restrainment, physical, verbal and mental, is to not to judge, not to react. Not to react. The preliminary course is you must not have judgmenting mind, judging mind. Non-reaction is basically based upon the non-judgmental situation. So it's a very challenging thing, because in our day-to-day we are taking so much of judgments and the inferential knowledge, inference, and ultimately we have to safeguard them, and that is why the perpetual suffering following us. So how to act without a reaction? That is the way we can define the practitioner, the yogi, the person who is meditating. Samadhi have different layers, different stratas. Jhana is the first and foremost thing. You can see you get leave from this sensuous world and go to the Rupa Loka. All the 5 hindrances will be replaced by jhanic factors, and you can abide by this jhanic experience, absorbed experience to a given time, say 30 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, or longer time, and there you will be completely, just like in a bunker, not afflicted by these hindrances. The people, those who are arguing and towards that not necessary to have jhana, this is when the mind is about to go into the jhana, that means access concentration, we call that upachara samadhi. There also, even though mind is not well organized, it is experiencing this kind of a quality, so to say, that rather free of hindrances, that means obsessional kind of defilements, and it is preparing with this vitakka vichara pīca sukha ekagata, that is the jhanic factors. So therefore even that is enough to go into insight practices or wisdom kind of training.
That means samadhi and jhana. saying?
No, that is what I am going to say. Samadhi has different layers. Jhana is one kind of a measurement. And before jhana, mind is organizing slowly from this scattered mind to come up to a kind of a unturbulent kind of flow. The best and the first one is we recognize as jhana, but before that there is gradual development. The pragmatic teacher says that gradual developing level itself enough to start inside meditation.
Asking Buddha, what is meditation not recommended?
Yeah.
In Buddha says, I not recommend anything not going to try to get away with English. I think, no one trying to get in Gujarat. I think I read something.
No, it may be true because that the Buddha gives the pragmatic value without using the technical terms. What you need is get rid of these hindrances, get rid of the hindrances from this obsessional kind of defilement, and otherwise you can't see things as they are. Because the hindrances are called chakku karano, anyana karano, andha karano, anibbana samvartaniko. These 5 hindrances are called, it's a blinding thing, and it is veiling you, it is leading you away from the Nibbana to the opposite. So therefore one has to have a clear understanding, one has to size one's own obsession, otherwise just by will or just by other ways you can't go. So you have to weaken it. So what is the extent? That is the argument, how much, so that keeping open, make the door open for all the kind of people. Yeah. Yeah.
Are there stories during Buddha's time where people have become arahants without practicing the Dhamma?
The first one you find in the Dhammapada, Manopubbangama Dhamma Manosettha Manomaya, the first verse. And of course the commentary, it says that Venerable Palita, Dhammapalita, he was a very elderly person. He has no that kind of a systematic training of the monkhood and the education and the jhanic practice. He just went into the vipassana, inside method, and he came up to the arahant level. But I am telling it is not found in the canon. This is what you find in the commentary. This is the first place you find the Gantha Dhura, Vipassana Dhura. That's a 2 kind of trainings. One thing is academic side of the Buddhism, the other one is pragmatic side of the Buddhism. And Dhammapalita was a person, is very elderly, he has no chance to go through this all. He directly started with bare insight method. And that is how the bare insight came into being. And when you go to the sub-commentarial level, the commentary to the Visuddhimagga, it says the Khanika Samadhi, that momentary concentration. Conventional concentration is you take an object and have a relationship with that for longer time and you get absorbed into that. That means this object must be a convention. It is not an experienceable. But as far as the momentary concentration is concerned, you get concentrated, you get coined with as and when it arises something like a target shooting versus shooting to the jumping animal. Target shooting is the conventional target, conventional concentration. Target is fixed, you shoot. But the other thing is that you are shooting in the game centuries or like that to the jumping animal. So there also, if the bullet is coining, the same thing happens. So this is the one came as an alternative to this practice without jhana. They define it as a momentary concentration. And that has been the main issue, one of the main issues discussing. So a person who has that kind of a momentary concentration, is it enough for someone to start wisdom practice? Or otherwise should one wait till he come up to the jhanic level like a target shooting?
Is there any evidence or anything to say that one who practices jhana could reach the level earlier and quicker than the other, or is there any evidence?
Well, that's very difficult to say, because that it is impromptu kind of incidents happening. So we are looking the whole picture in a gross way and try to sort it out. And therefore, if there are no hindrances, it is easier. For example, if the street is full of pedestrians, you find difficult to go because people are there, but they are not coming and hitting you. Therefore, you can walk. But in the low speed, so there you can't wait till the whole street become empty. If it is so, it will never. So what you can do is you can just walk a few steps, and then again you get a few steps, like that you can go. But you can understand it is slow in the speed. That is indicate that your question, I can say yes. That means if the jhana practice is there, it is like you have a, how to call, escort. The police is going there, removing all the people, so you can go. But the person who is going without jhana is no escort, it's just citizen John. He just have no any kind of recognition, so he has to trot. He also must not wait till the street become empty, so that you have to wait till the next Buddha to appear. It's a long time. Till what you can do is you can just trot as and when the space arises, space provides, and there also you can go.
Not to see a question. In the one time on this, I think not to try out something. Anand Hamri saying those who are here, those who are came from the one of four ways.
Yeah. No, it is not in the sutta, it is in the Patisambhida Magga.
So that's question and answers.
No.
I think it says, okay, one come with the samatha, and then vipassana, and vipassana, then samadhi, other one is samadhi, so fourth one is compassion, all these things.
No, I think it is if you go by the that particular presentation, there are 4 doorways: Samatha Pubbangama Vipassana, Vipassana Pungama Samatha, Yuganadda, and Dhammuddacca Viggahita Manasa. So that indicates some people start with concentration, and then after a certain amount of concentration they go to the insight meditation. That is what we call Sila Samadhi Panya gradual method. Yet another kind of people, they start directly with the insight meditation, and after insight they understand we can't wait till the whole street become empty. They develop. While developing, they understand how to get certain amount of concentration amidst of little thoughts, midst of little sounds and the pains kind of thing. Develop the immunity level, and ultimately he finds even in the busy places, to a certain extent he can be happy, be concentrated. And there he, after developing the insight knowledges, resistance, the immunity, he go to the samatha, concentration development, and there he is better off, and then he can use the both. Some other people use it in a frequently changing samatha to vipassana, or concentration to wisdom, wisdom to concentration, keep yuganada bhavana, 2 together. So these are the 3 combinations you can out of 2 alternatives. The last one is Dhammuddacca Viggahita Manasa. It is a kind of very revolutionary kind of thing. The Buddha says, whether you go by the samatha method or vipassana method, as you keep on practicing, due to your achievement itself, due to your achievement of wisdom and the concentration, there's a kind of internal turmoil. It is coming out of the pride. It is coming out of conceit. It's coming out of the desire for your own practice. Tanna Mana Ditti can create kind of an internal turmoil. I am better than him, I am better than them, and wherever I can go, I can practice like. Internally, due to your very achievement, uddhacca can happen. Some kind of agitation can happen. There you have to be very careful. Otherwise, that very achievement in all the three ways, virtues, concentration and wisdom, it shall give agitation. So you will get trapped into the whirlpool and your progress will stop. There you have to see all the achievement, not as yours, not as not me, not mine, not myself. Then only you can get out of this trap. Otherwise, no go. I don't know, I am just quoting, don't take seriously. I think he's Mr. Daniel Brown. They have done an experiment in Barre, Massachusetts, because now many people come from different religions and practice there. And practicing, he has taken an interest to get people from different religions. I mean Muslims, Hindus, Catholics, Sikhs, Buddhists. So he has asked the people, young, intelligent people from different denominations, we are going to do an experiment in the meditation, please volunteer. After volunteering, he has given a technique. I don't know whether Anapano, what it may be. And fairly number of people went through very nice concentration and start to feel the lightness and the floating feelings. Kind of what it may be, they start to appreciate their own practice. And there he has thrown a question paper telling, interpret their own achievement. And each and everyone has thanked, telling they never expected that kind of a situation in this research or in this social survey techniques, but they opened yet another window for their spirituality through his experimenting. So they now feel, when and where they go and sit, they can have the lightness, experience sometimes a very bright light, and after getting up they feel very calm and quiet, and every positive thing. When they are interpreting, we'll say he is a Muslim person, now he has got, and he is interpreting, and the best person always tends to say, this is what the Allah experienced in the cave. And that is what he is going to translate, communicate with us through the Quran. But unlucky enough, our teacher says it is unachievable in this life. You have to die and go to the next life. But thank you very much, I got it. This is what the book says. And he finds a relationship direct. And now we'll say she is Catholic. She comes and she says, this is what explains the omnipotent, omnipresent God. Wherever I go, I can get that feeling. Every eye is there. And from that knowledge, all the thing happen. Like she interprets the way the Bible. The other, she's a Hindu. And she says, when I go there, I feel the Brahma Padartha. Brahma Padartha means the source of everything. And that is what at the end of the Advaita Vedanta is telling. It is the manifestation of everything. I experience like, and I am sure I can go up to that life. Every person, they interpret the best of their experience is what the spiritual book says. But when Buddhist people, they say, Buddha has mentioned not to take this is very seriously. This is a trap. Don't get conceited. Don't get attracted. Don't think it is my achievement. Look at it as the chain reactions, chain action. So therefore, unless otherwise you get a distance from that, no way, you get trapped. So Dan Brown is very clearly indicating, I am not going to give the comparative religion discrimination. Real meditation start at that level. When you start to get good experiences, I mean virtue-wise, you feel the moral responsibility is a very good cultured thing, and you can, of course, you can start it. But soon I am going to say, she is morally bad, I am superior. More and more I become superior, I am going to get more and more arrogance due to my conceit, pride, and my achievement. And when the concentration happen, I can say I am the only person sit very straight and all the kind of thing. Others are trying, they can't do, therefore I am superior. And when the wisdom happen, that same thing happen. So Buddha has mentioned these are pithole or potholes or traps. So there you get trapped, unless otherwise you go prepared. So that has been considered as one separate type of meditation, Dhammuddhatta Viggahita Manasa. So those who are achieving, those who are telling that I am successful in the meditation, still the trap is there. They are conceit. They are the Tanna Mana Ditti. Tanna is the desire. Mana is conceit. Ditti is the view. So therefore, when we are practicing as a group, if say she is very good in practice and she is going to brag and all the kind of this, is my duty to tell her. The Buddha has mentioned this kind of thing. I am, sister, not against you, but I am telling, be aware of it. So if you are practicing in a group and open to each other, ready to others' criticism, we are a little safe. Otherwise, you have to have a book knowledge. This has been mentioned in the canon, and you have to have certain amount of experience. How the arrogance comes, how the one-upmanship comes in the day-to-day life, and that is exactly in the spiritual path also. So therefore, mindfulness itself sometimes give a mirror image, or like a television camera kind of a thing, or otherwise we have to have in the sense each one has to be a mirror to the other. So only I can see by her interpretation, her remarks only I can understand who am I. So therefore that has to be, therefore the fourth method, Dhammuddacca Viggahita Manasa, you find only in this kind of a very insight practices. Otherwise that you more and more you become successful, more and more you get trapped into your own vicious cycle. That is not related to the Samatha Vipassana, but I am telling that as you mentioned the question.
Excuse me. Are there any other written questions? Can I ask you?
Yes, please. Finish.
You talked about the judgments. Can you explain a little bit more about practicality of getting over? Because Buddha himself spoke about when he talked about effort, right effort, he talked about to try and bring unwholesome thoughts and then to get rid of the unwholesome thoughts and to take an effort to maintain the horizon thoughts and things like that, four different things. And also you mentioned about to associate with the mindful people in your practice. So all these things in our efforts or endeavors as lay people, don't we make judgments before we take a certain step forward? So we do make judgments and then we do. So if you can explain, give us some practical tips as to how
so that I will quote one of the suttas, and you may find in this Nibbana sermon also, Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta. Salayatana Vibhanga Sutta, Buddha explained 36 options from the commoner in the street to the Nibbana, 36 episodes, and how you must get rid of the gross one and find the subtler one. And ultimately you find that subtly become gross 1 or 2 days time, you leave with that and go to the subtler one. So in the sense that when the good and the bad is there, you have to select the good. When the good and the better comes, you have to give up the good. That's the simple answer. But we are so desperate to give up the good at the face of better. We are so in a rut. We are so in a, the narrow-minded. So Buddha is always giving us, when you become good, he never leave, not the Buddha, but it's a nature, who's going to give a better one. But you are looking always better as a challenge. You are always happy to be with familiar goodness, rather than taking a radical approach to the better. So therefore you get caught up there. But therefore it says that whenever the reasonable people, cultured people, given with the option the good and the bad, I think majority definitely will go to the good. But the problem comes when you give two options, the good and the better. There you can find our old judgmental, our value system, everything goes topsy-turvy. We hardly select the better, and we give up the good. So there the Buddha said that he give it's a kind of a hypothetical presentation. He says 36 planes. He says the household pleasure, that is to say seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and the pet ideas. And that is why the rich people have all the kind of visual things at their mansions, all the kind of sounds at their fingertips, and the smells, the tastes, the comfort, all the kind of thing, and then the many pet ideas kind of thing. But even then they have the painful feeling, pleasurable feeling, indifferent feelings. Even they are well-to-do, they have all the three. And there are nothing to talk about those who are not achieved. And some people, knowing the disadvantage of this household, this thing, they renunciate and they go to a very basic needs and try to be with the necessities, not the luxuries. And they also have painful feeling, pleasurable feeling, and the neutral feeling. And being so, the Buddha says that pleasurable, painful go into 6 by seeing, hearing, smelling, touching, tactile sensation and thoughts. So there are 6 lines of pains, pleasure and neutral for the household, 6 lines of pain, pleasure and neutral into the renunciator. After there he says you get rid of worldly suffering by renunciated suffering. You have the worldly suffering, I don't know, it's a very complicated thing. One by one we can say you have to replace a wise person with replace the worldly suffering at the face of renunciated suffering. Worldly pleasure at the face of renunciated pleasure. Worldly indifference from the renunciated indifference. So that is, he gives the priority. Now the monks and renunciated people know and they get it off. But even then they have pain, pleasure, that is renunciated pain. People suffer in the renunciated life. Pleasure they experience, and the indifferent, that usually people before the ordination they say the renunciated life is like a heaven, no friction, everything is pleasurable. But we are standing exactly the same like you. It's just a dream. Only the thing is how your attitude to the sense pleasure. Even at the house, and even if he renunciates and is still waiting for the visual and all the kind of things, we also suffering just like you. You of course sometimes once in a way you have it something, we are just desperately waiting. So therefore the Buddha says even after renunciation the whole the 3 packets are the same. So that is why he says get rid of the renunciated pain by the renunciated pleasure. While in the meditation, whenever the concentration going to happen, mindfulness going to happen, you understand whenever there is no visual objects, whenever there is no sounds, whenever there is no touch, smell, taste, touch, and you get a very calm and quiet atmosphere, and the mind becomes mindful and the concentration, you feel immaterial kind of a pleasure. That is, the renunciated people can have a hope, but not for everyone. But whoever going to get, they understand this is much better than the materialistic pleasure. And then, in order to get rid of the renunciated suffering, he has to hope for this kind of a renunciated pleasure. But that is not the end of the Buddhism. Buddha says that is also just to get motivation. Ultimately, you have to get rid of this renunciated pleasure out of renunciated indifference. Very difficult to argue and show. Because indifference is the place you get the middle path. And whenever you get the indifference, you are going to rather come into the wisdom level and going on happening. So the basic principle he is showing is idang nissa idam pajahata. You get rid of this due to this. Now after a while that become a burden, then you get rid of that. at the face of yet another subtle one. So when this kind of one replacing other, and when that happens, virya, as we mentioned, effort, the early part of virya is called aradha virya, the beginners, or it is called launching effort. It is highly judgmental. And it is going to give to the paggahita virya sustenance kind of energy. And when the sustenance energy happens, you understand the judgmental kind of energy, non-judgmental kind of energy. Whenever you are going to give the judgmental kind of giving the way to the natural happenings, you are going to the paripurna virya, fulfilling kind of energy. That is how virya itself, the energy itself is evolving. So therefore, saddha, the faith, at the beginning very judgmental. We compare the Christian faith, Buddhist faith, blah, 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 we are better, we are Buddhist. So we get it. But that is not the aim, that is not the end. And that is telling, if you are Buddhist, do practice, meditation. When practicing, you are getting a higher kind of, that is called, as far as the faith is concerned, okappana saddha. You put yourself and see, not the superficial kind of faith, not the unfounded kind. You put yourself, breathing, exercise, and kind of, there you get a kind of a faith rather than those who are not practicing. And there it is leading to the asaddha. When you become ara, faith is not necessary. So like everything is evolving. So our education system is horribly linear. So we expect every argument in a linear relationship, but the things are happening in a matrix. There are a lot of intricate relationships. So if you are going to learn, explain it with the saddha, the faith, one method. Along the line of the energy, virya, one. Mindfulness, one. Concentration, one. Wisdom, one. They are, while practicing, they evolve. So therefore, each and every connection, each and every combination, very difficult to put into books. Our books are very linear. These talks are very linear. But it is helping us while practicing, something happening. So therefore, one replaced by the other. So Jnananda used to say, the today's luxury will be utility for tomorrow. So when you are practicing, yesterday it was a luxury, but today when you are practicing, it is a utility and yet another come. So you are replacing one after the other. So that is why the gradual, slow process, it's evolving slowly. So therefore, early part, highly judgmental. The Buddha says at a time when you are about to kill something, or when you are about to steal something, when you are going to misappropriate something like that, you must consider everything thinking that you are coming from high caste. Our caste people are not killing, therefore it is bad for me to kill. So that kind of a value judgment he put, save you from killing. It's a very preliminary level. And when you go up there, he says, what is the caste can do? That when you are up there, it is shedding everything. That is how you lose your ego-centric idea, your values, your likings and dislikings. Slowly, they get replaced. This is very difficult to tackle in theory level. Very difficult to tackle by just deductive knowledge, by argumenting. But they are necessary. But while you are practicing only, you come to know. I will give a kind of a pragmatic example. I try to cite in the morning also, while you are meditating. For example, a beginner. Usually whenever the wandering thoughts happen, you have a irritation. You think it is a disturbance. Whenever someone is making a noise, you have a judgmental mind come that I got the leave for whole year and come to the meditation. Even then someone is coughing, someone is slamming the door, someone is making fussy and all the kind. So judgment going on. And it is inbuilt one, it is not your intention doing, it is happening. And when the pain happens, it happens. You never understand the sound is something, the reaction to sound in the negative way is something. You mixed up them. You think the sound is the preliminary cause created my anger. And the pain is the direct cause to create me angry. Thoughts are. But the Buddha says, try to separate them. This very sound can be a cause for the pleasure also. Under different circumstances. The pain also can be a cause for pleasure also. For example, if a person is with the paralytic situation, he suffers because he has no feelings on one side. So he suffers, he thinks it's a lost. You understand? When this side is not answering, so why he is crying? Because no pain coming from that side. So if a doctor give a proper treatment and if the pain starts from that paralytic side, it's what a blessing. So we change our values. So what I am going to say is, pain, the sounds, distractions going to happen. So you try to maximize your primary object. That is, for example, we say in breath and out breath. While keep on there, they are coming and you go to the teacher and everyone. And the teacher asks you to see the judging mind. See the reaction. Whenever the sound happens, try to observe the sound and also see the reaction. And the best is the pain. Whenever the pain happens, we have the irritation. The teacher says, get a distance from the pain. That is to say, in the medical jargon, they says, whenever the doctor operating a patient, he should not recognize with the pain of the patient. Then he can't perform the thing. They have to get the clinically distance from the patient. That is a professional thing. It is not religious. So whenever the pain happens, of course, naturally you are reacting, telling it is something wrong and distracting and kind. Instead, if you see the pain is such a cutting light, piercing light, rubbing light, burning light, and your reaction is negative. So the day you separate them out, the pain and the reaction, you see the reaction is always happening with the latent tendency of hatred. As far as this latent tendency is there, whatever your relationship with the pain never work in the direct way, it is happening, it is blocked. So the day you remove the pain, the reaction, you can definitely bear this pain. It's the shape changes, its impact changes. So therefore, moment to remove this irritation, the negative part, the pain becomes something, subject matter or object for you to meditate. Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana. After the bodily contemplation, you have to go to the pain. So whenever the reaction naturally happens, you have to go prepare. Whenever the pain happens, how it become irritated, because after a certain extent, internal reaction happens. So if the day you understand your own reaction, you can easily cope up with this pain, and next day definitely you will expect a higher pain. To increase your meditation, to increase the resistance, increase your mindfulness. So ultimately the hidden reaction, the latent tendency of the hatred become a hidden treasure. It was running throughout in your meditation, but now you are going to see it. So then more and more you understand the pain is something, a reaction is something, you find that thing never you can learn by reading books, not by thinking. You have to be there, and red-handed you can, when the pain happens under your very nose, you have to understand the basic cause of pain and your reaction. So whenever the day you see the reaction, you start to go to the higher level of meditation. When the reaction is removed, I would say like this, the moment you see the reaction as reaction, it becomes a hobby. It becomes an adventure. It becomes something novelty for you. So when and where the reaction happens, you are just like waiting like a spy or CIA person to see who the culprit is. Then the reaction won't put their head. Reaction will be slowly going on. But one thing will happen. The life becomes very pale, boring. monotonous. You feel like cornered. Then you will go back to the reaction and full-fledged life. Action-packed, everything, and ultimately you are the one get the wear and tear, and ultimately you are to lose. So you get the option. No reaction means life is very pale. Slow motion. The active life, the reacting life is just like a James Bond show or the Superman show. I mean, in a film you know what you should have for people to react. So this is the way. So therefore meditation is not the difficult part. Every one of you all have undergone these experiences, but you invariably select this reactive way, because to keep the life, I mean, how do you call this, varietal entertainment, cocktail parties, all dramatic, this is the way it happens. So whenever you see a spiritual person who is unshaken by this drama, who is unshaken by this varietal entertainment, he live full life, he is healthy mentally and physically, then only you place your role model, place your, how do you call, real values. Otherwise, whatever the experience is, you don't know how to interpret it. You interpret in your systematic, traditional, foolish way. The blinkered way. How do you call, blinkers? That is the way. So therefore, don't think that we are critically sadhya, we are destructive. We are just try to take it out. Take it out, and what also it happens. Each and every time you are going to sit, you happen. The moment you understand the primary cause and the reaction, the action and the reaction, then onward the whole life is so green. It's just like a newly born baby, looking everything completely new. No value system. So now we being elderly people, very difficult to communicate, we are in such a rut. But the younger children, you can understand how fresh. They have no value system. And when you are looking at the younger children, we become refreshed. They are radiating this thing, and therefore one Westerner, he has told that if you wish to get this vibrant variation, radiance of the children, don't talk to them standing, get down below their level and talk. Then only you get their vibration, so you have to come down. So they are in a better position, unconditioned. They are not corrupted, fresh, simply because they have no value system. They have no ego-centered idea, this is correct, this is wrong, everything fresh. But as she mentioned, can we go up to that level in this busy life? Only by simple method of mindfulness. Forget about the busy life and kind of thing. Try to develop it for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Forget about your value system and just observe as and when it happens. So that is the best way of healing. That is the only place healing can take place. Not with the tension, not with the value system, not with the chasing behind something. So slowly you give a pressure releasing valve to release this accumulated pent-up energy. And then you are the best person to understand when and where we lose this value system, the judgmental mind, reacting mind. There's a inner, the second nature, unconditioned nature, and that is the point we started. And it is a kind of going backward to the child psychology, going to the non-judgmental mind. And so people, Buddhists are very happy to say it is Buddhist. But recently one person in the discussion with the Dalai Lama, he has mentioned mindfulness, how much it is helping to release the blood pressure, release the heart problems, and to develop the memory capacity and the communication and everything. Then after giving so, how to call this, convincing kind of talk, he is asking his Holiness Dalai Lama, Bhante, is this mindfulness Buddhist? Dalai Lama says, it is not Buddhist, it is human. Any human can develop. Once they develop, they will be cultured. They will be uplifted slowly, slowly, slowly. And the methods and the how do you call this, explanations. These things are what we call canon. Buddha has mentioned, when you do that, this is the thing going to happen. It happened to him, it happened to her, and it is full of case histories. But those who are practicing, the way he understands the canon, not the way I understand. The way I understood yesterday is not the way today. It's ever different facets. But the main theme, the main secret, the key is, you must try to keep as much as possible mindfulness intact, wherever possible. So again, you give a chance for the least frictional path to come. The power line will be very straight, and there you feel the nature working, not my idea, not my wish, not my reaction. And the beautiful thing is, whatever the crafty, whatever the formulas you are going to use to get rid of from this present moment, to get you distract from the present moment, the mindfulness never take revenge. Any time you are ready, mindfulness is ready. You can't erase off your capacity to come back to the present moment by a second force. It's an endowment of human mind. So therefore, whatever the mistake you have done, you can just easily forgive and forget, and make the next moment fresh. So that is the blessing. But the thing is, if you have to understand that only at the deathbed, sorry, that's all you have to say. Earlier the better. If you know this formula and try yourself before, then you can understand, you can sympathize yourself, forgive and forget, and be ready for the next moment. That is fresh. Unless otherwise you put the inoculum, the asavas, your pains. Moment is fresh. So mindfulness is making whatever the thing has happened, that is gone, next moment fresh. You try to rejuvenate yourself more and more. So that is yet another way. You can say non-reactional way, non-judgmental way. You are ready to accept the next moment. It depends on the group, but if everyone is understanding that each of us is not perfect, we have our own mistakes and kind of thing, but still even though I have a mistake, I can be a mirror to her. I can just the clear view. When we are acting and reacting each other, I can say, this is what I feel about your behavior. It must be impartial, and it's a serious job, I think. That is what we do in the counseling, free association. And you see that Sigmund Freud has understood it in such a clear way, but his followers have been rejected that. He says he'll say that I am the person counseling, she came to me telling a problem. Not a meditation, I am telling in the normal way. And what you have to do is, you have to give her so far so that she can relax. And she must have a trust upon me that I am not going to take the mean advantage of what she is telling. So she start talking. So I have to promote her to come out all. But at the beginning, we have our own, hiding each other. We are not willing to expose ourselves. So you have to give a frictionless talk. Ultimately, Sigmund Freud has mentioned, the listener, the therapist, must listen just like a dumb person, deaf person. That is not to react what he is telling, but to promote her. Ultimately, she will get rid of all the muck, the catharsis, little by little, and her mind also will calm down after giving up all the pent-up thing, and then only the mind-to-mind connection takes place. If I am assuming I am a therapist, she is a patient, if the distance is there, communication won't take place. So you have to come down to a no one's position, nobody's position. And she also has to vacate or remove everything, and then the mind-to-mind relation. The difference between the Buddha and the Sigmund Freud is, Buddha says you are the patient, you are the therapist. Mindfulness is the technique. When the mindfulness happens, your past wrong things and everything going to pop up. So you must not be judging it. This is good, this is bad. Okay, get it off. When and where judgment happens, the free flow will be disturbed. Non-judgmentally you have to get it off. So there it is not a normal human kind of a compassion. It's a very deep compassion you have to have. And once you remove, you are the very person to understand the relaxation, the healing. So therefore, when you are listening to yourself or to others, you behave like a deaf. But you are full vigilant listening, no reaction. That is why the Bahyas and the other, this thing, Chakkumasa yata ando, sotava badiro yata. Even though you are eyed person, observe everything like a blind person. You get everything in, don't put outside. Don't put the reaction out. Listen everything, but don't pass your judgment. Get the smell of everything, but don't judge telling it is good and bad. Taste, touch, and the feeling. But this is the climax, the highest of training in our meditation. Get everything in, but be vigilant, be diligent to get it. But don't rush to pass your judgment. No one is asking. No one has no rights to tell you that you must judge on me. No, you can say, mind your own business. I have no connection. So that is how you develop this non-judgmental part. And for that I find that best is the association with that kind of cultured people. I have seen one or two people when I was in the robust young age. So at the beginning I hate that kind of people. I told they are just vegetables. Whatever you go and say, they don't take into their heart. They never. But later only I come to know they are highly developed. Therefore, they are fully vigilant. They are with us, but not rushing to pass a judgment. So meditation also, when you are calming down the breath, it becomes very calm. Ultimately, go to a point, the mind come and say, what to do? You have to do something because breath has stopped. So some people start force breathing. Some people get frightened and get up and go. Because they don't know how to observe without a judgment. And sometimes some bodily pains. My teacher in the Burma, he says that when in the practice, for example, the people, those who have cracked bones and healed, now it is fairly okay. While in the meditation, you come to the experience immediately as if you have already cracked the bone. The same thing. It becomes so excruciating pain. And if you go through the beginning, the middle and end, the early misalignments, everything will be healed and it will be readjusted. But if you are stopped at the halfway telling that is something wrong, that means you are not allowing the natural healing to take place. So all these kind of past bad memories and pains are going to come out. So you can do it overnight. Slowly you understand, letting it coming out, let it come out. Non-reactional way, non-judgmental way, ultimately you have to get the healed. And that not by medicine, not by techniques, just by catharsis. Opening the doors and letting it go. Non-judgmentally you have to observe yourself. And if that is such a thing happen, I think no one will find the fault with others. If you have no fair game with your past memories and the mistake, then only you will take a punishment and take upper hand to punish someone or judge someone. Who the hell gave us the authority to judge someone? Simply we are not observing ourselves. We are not patient enough to see the beginning, the middle and the end. Therefore, we are unpolite to ourselves. That is why the frustration means. That is what the tension means. If you politely see this, tension comes and goes, never mind. It is not me, it is not mine. This is the law of actions, action and reaction. So therefore, to see the beginning and the middle, ultimately you develop kind of a sympathy. You can observe others also, the beginning, the middle and the end. So it has ultimately this social effect also, ethnic effect also. But the Buddha says, rather than this ethnic effect, the external effect, first and foremost is you understand yourself. Cure yourself, heal yourself, then this good vibration is spreading whether you like it or not. Good vibes. So mind you that when you are observing the breath, when the in-breath happens, if you know that it is in-breath, it is indicating the healed mind. You are not judging what is the use of in-breath knowing and what will happen to the past and the future. That all are very smart mind but not healing. So whenever the left leg is there, if you understand, experience the left leg wholeheartedly, that means mind is aligned. When the in-breath is happening, if you know, I am in the in-breath, that is the healing. That is the starting point. If that is possible, your question also will be answered. One day you will understand, even any complicated thing happen, you just be a neutral observer, a distance observer rather than passing judgment or commentaries. Then easy to understand the relaxation or releasing of the tension.
Is jhana a temporary state of mind, or are there people who will take jhana and stay there forever?
For a while, yes. For a while means temporary. Jhana is kind of if you take a rubber ball and put under the water, as far as you keep the grip, ball will be there. Soon you release it, it pop up. But it's a possibility. You can. It's just like in the warfare. Whenever the enemies are powerful, you creep into the bunker. But that is not the winning of the war. It is not the lost. It's a war technique. Like that in the samsara, there is no other escape from this obsessional kind of defilements, unless otherwise you develop this jhanic experience. But that is temporary. The example given is whenever the operation going to take place, it's a natural, the normal norm, you put the patient under the anesthesia. Otherwise very difficult to operate. The jhanic experience is anesthesia. You can imagine if you are operating a wild tiger without anesthesia. What is going to happen? So anesthesia is a must. So likewise that go to that, you have to anesthetize, you have to be numbed. But the anesthesia doctor always must be in the theatre. So it's very crucial. The amount of anesthesia, soon after the operation, then naturally the patient has to recover. If it is going too long, that itself will be detrimental. It has its own utility value. Okay, now we have taken 1 hour and 15 minutes. There is no question. What I am going to do is I will give a...
We have one.
Yes.
Because the Buddha's instruction for Maha.
Atra Satipatthana.
Is that the same instruction for Vipassana, Bhavana, or somewhere it's Buddha's instruction?
I mean that different people got different recipes. If you take Anapanasati Sutta, still in the Majjhima Nikaya, it is whenever you read the Satipatthana Sutta also, right from the beginning, Buddha recommends Anapanasati, but it is confined only to the dwell on the contemplation on the body. It never take to the contemplation on the mind, the feelings on the feelings, mind on the mind and the Dhamma. But in the Anapanasati Sutta, it is genuine, very specific. Buddha explained how can you employ the Anapanasati just to understand the body in the body, feeling in the feeling, mind in the mind and all the other phenomena in the phenomena. So they are only single technique. From 0 to the 100. In Satipatthana Sutta, 21 meditation objects are there. So in the traditional way in Sri Lanka, like traditional countries, they practice all the kind of meditation techniques. If you ask a normal person what are the meditation, they will give a list. If you ask what is the most pragmatic and what is more practical, that doesn't care. They accumulate the list, but no the practical. But maybe that was the existing case in the time of the Buddha also. At the beginning for Anapanasati Sutta, Buddha says in the audience, there are all the kind of people available, practicing different concentration, meditation and vipassana. But to whole, this is the panacea. That is the single folded object, you can go to the end. So therefore many Samyutta Nikaya and others, many techniques are available. It is according to this personality types. According to the problem arises, he gives the answer.
Since I don't understand the Pali, are you talking about the Goenka kind of, that's a method of meditation? The sensation, the bodily sensation?
The Satara Satipatthana, what he mentioned is Kayanupassana, Vedananupassana, Chittanupassana, Dhammanupassana is Pali. In English it says dwelling on the contemplation on the body, dwelling on contemplation on the feeling, dwelling on the contemplation on the mind, dwelling on the contemplation on the phenomena. So it has presented in the gradual process, Kayanupassana, the body leading to the feeling, to the mind, to the whole phenomena. So gradual process, Mahasi Sayadaw, he says ABCD method, starting from the Anapanasati, that is body on the body, and then it must reveal by itself and go and lead to the feelings. And feeling should lead to the mind to the phenomena. But the Goenkaji and the Uba King, when they are practicing, they give emphatic value to the feelings on the feelings. Therefore, they give a just introduction like initiative for the Anapanasati, just to get the bodily sensation, little body on the body, and then directed to the feelings. And yet another person is still coming from Burma. It's after the Shwe Sayadaw, he give the emphasis. He emphasized on the mind, Chittanupassana. But one person did PhD, took Satipatthana Sutta as a PhD thesis. He analyzed and says, the Buddha says, each and everyone is good enough to want to come onto the extreme mental level. To become Arahant, all the four must be mastered. So therefore we can't find fault with them. Even if you start with the body on the body, or feeling on the feeling, or mind on the mind, or whatever may be, it's the starting point. Because in the sansaric journey, we don't know our potential. We don't know whether we have done something in the past lives. I don't know. In Buddhist sphere, we understand, we accept we have the past this thing. We don't know where we are. So therefore, each and every person, there is no rule to say starting from the zero level. Some people get high attraction for their, according to their status. So different methods are available therefore. But the foolproof system is starting from ABC.
As a layman, and at the beginning, when I started doing meditation, I get the feeling something. I get the thoughts. When the thought and feeling, I don't feel it, then I get the feeling.
No.
Then I get some kind of body. Can I switch? Has it for me? The fact that can I switch my mind and just observe it, just categorize what it is? Can I do that?
So it says, I can give examples. As a beginner, best thing is to go ABCD method, 1, 2, 3, 4 method. So what you have to do is take the bodily, the object, that breath, in breath and out, the primary object. How do you call? The Mula Karmasthana, primary object. Others also objects. But when and where possible, you give the priority to the primary object. But what happens is thoughts are coming and disturbing you. Pains are coming and under such circumstances, nothing to do. You have to deal with that what is prominent. But that is not your choice. It is what happens. Under such circumstances, if the thoughts are coming, you just understand, now I am not contemplating on the in-breath and out-breath, but thinking. You very well know you are thinking. You are not reacting it. So sometimes the pains, and because you can't concentrate on the breath, and the pains are coming. And sometimes other kind of thing. But when they are alleviated, you must understand, you must come home. You must come to your primary object. And why you should to the primary object, the Burmese master, when he is dealing, he told, in a party, we have a lot of guests. We invite a lot of guests. But there is one chief guest. And the organizer is preparing the house and everything, decor, everything for the guest. But whenever the chief guest happens, he has to go to the chief guest. As far as chief guest is there, he has to give the priority to the chief guest. Meanwhile, if the other guest to come and going to protest, why you are inviting us that you are giving the priority to the chief guest and we are neglected, like, it's not done. Everyone has to understand that when the chief guest come, he will be only 5 minutes, and at that time the householder has to take care. Likewise, the other objects are just how do you call, guests. Primary object is the chief guest. When and where it is available, you have to give the priority. But when the chief guest goes, definitely you have to take care about the others. So likewise, you have to be pragmatic. Our mind is jumping from one to the other. Therefore, you have to have a benchmark. You have to have a reference point. Reference point is what we call in-breath and out-breath. But by simple introducing of the reference point or benchmark, others will not cease to exist. They come and disturb. So there you go due to their priority, their seriousness. They come and throb. What to do? At that time, breathing is no more, only the pain. So you deal with the pain, but without the hate, knowing it is not your wish. It came. You are not going to lose the chance. You understand how the beginning of the pain, how the middle of the pain, how the end of the pain, or thought. So likewise, that early part you have to have some interviews, and teachers has to give the guidelines how to keep the track, with the primary object.
When you say primary object, are you saying primary object is not independent?
Primary object, what of your decision? You sit and let if the breathing is going to happen naturally, you take the breath. And if the breath is going to touch here, your primary object is here. In my case, maybe rising and falling. Still the breath, but the place is here. So likewise, that you have to select pragmatically, not a premeditated idea. After a few sittings only, you must recognize what is the most durable, what is the most prominent priority object. And therefore, at the beginning, you have to do trial and error and mark it. So you see in the surveying, in taking the land surveying, so daily the person has to keep the theodolite in one place. That is, we call the benchmark. And if he is not keeping there, you can't reinforce the bearings day by day you are taking, because your reference point is different. So much of calculation. So what you have to do is early morning they go there and take so much of pain, same point you have to get the same level, the theodolite, and then you can take any bearings. Ultimately one of the other reinforcement happen. But at the end plan, benchmark is not there. It is only in the blueprint for the survey to see, but when you are giving it to the customer, you erase it to a benchmark because it has a very technical meaning, it has a pragmatic meaning, but no value for the landowner. So likewise here also you pinpoint the benchmark. It must be a natural one, it must be a pragmatic one. So many people do not understand this pragmatic meaning, so therefore always try to find the benchmark at the tip of the nose because it is mentioned in the book. So ultimately that is not the natural thing for a particular person. Ultimately go into space odyssey, lose the track.
It would be very nice sometime during these 4 days if we could experience a little bit of A, B, C, and D.
So you asked me to do guided meditation.
Well, I guess the breath, yes, I understand that. I'm not saying I'm good at it, but I understand that. Goenka's method, I understand that. But I actually, if there's a sequence, A, B, C, and D, I would like experience with A, B, C, and D, if that would be at all possible during this.
That is natural unfolding. That what I believe is, A is always leading to B, B is leading to the C, C to D. If you are going to do, that is like you are ripening the fruits with chemicals, and that you are not going to get the fresh, real taste.
You might think of it though as a target.
No.
Also good?
No.
No.
The target is the one you end up with the tension. You end up with this all the. So we lose all the targets and try to be a child. No target. And that itself is enlightenment. Yeah. And recently we had a retreat we call Nobel retreat, Nobels. Not the Nobel silence, but the Nobel. If you wish, you go and sit. If you wish, you go and do walking meditation, or otherwise have a discussion. Very few people. And they marked it as Nobel retreat. So that is the way. That is the way out only we have. Otherwise, we are so much of regimenting. We are so much of planning. And I do not wish to take yet another one to your mind. Completely open. But of course, to have that group thing, we have a schedule and agreed upon, and then we keep on doing. And when the meditation goes on, 1 hour may not be different, enough or too much. So if it is so, take your own time. If you feel like, sit long, little long. And if you feel like cut off and go to the sitting, no problem, but don't disturb others. That is how you see the most appropriate one for your character.
So if there are no schedules and no goals in our progress through these 4 states, happens as it happens. It also means, doesn't it, that it becomes very difficult to communicate this to someone else because it's very personal experience, and it's difficult to measure that it's happened. You just have an internal confidence that it has happened. So that goes to the question about, I thought I heard about communicating to others. And really in the end, and then if you try and do that, you can divert the whole process. And you start to skew for yourself, maybe and possibly others, you start to skew away from that central path.
So that this is a very kind of organized meditation and advanced meditation, I would say. Before that, Yoniso Manasikara, understanding the wise attention, the correct view, and the mindfulness, these things must be aligned. Then they will start taking the care of you, and it will proceed. just like you are keeping on a conveyor belt and it is taking. But before you understand the definition and the practical side of the mindfulness, definition and the practical side of this wise attention and the correct view, there means no spearhead, there is no lead. So at that level, this is not applicable. Once the mind come up to a certain amount of non-judgmental and non-harmful to the others and you and kind of thing, then you can let go. Let goism happens by when the maturity happens through the concentration and the mindfulness, yoniso manasikara, the wise attention. When they happen, you feel not necessary to have that kind of a regimentation. It takes its own. And as he mentioned that the Burmese teachers, they say the sasana, the dispensation of the Buddha is twofold. One thing is internal sasana, the other one is external sasana. Internal sasana means how much I am responsible about my moral deeds, moral responsibilities. How much I take time for concentration development. How much I take care about the development of wisdom. So it is up to me. But how to communicate with others. This is completely the external sasana. So they are the language, the grammar, the presentation, the sequential order, everything was important. The Buddha is confronted with both the tasks. First, it happened him to enlighten himself and then communicate with unenlightened beings. So it's a hell of a task. But after teaching, what we have to do is first take care about your internal sasana. That means try to maximize the available resources to develop the sila samadhi panya, that means the moral training, wisdom concentration and the wisdom training. And where and when we are going to communicate with others, teaching others or helping is not the first thing. You have to put the horse before the cart. And if you keep it in the proper track, the other will going to happen. So therefore, communication part, it's asking for a lot of qualifications. So at the beginning, don't worry about that. You have to communicate with your teacher or your spiritual friends and concentrate as much as possible onto the internal sasana, your own alignment, your own adjustments, and then the path is very straightforward. Whenever you are going to help others or that kind of thing, complications can happen. If you are doing without qualifying yourself, that is not appreciated, and that is why the complications are. So you have to give the private sasana, internal sasana first, and then the external sasana will follow the suit. Communication problem it won't be a problem. So. Okay, I will take little time to explain this morning talk into the Sinhala. If there are no questions. Feelings, perception. So that's why the example of our reaction to the thoughts, our reaction to the pain. Usually when the pain happens, you have a negative. You think pain is a distraction. This is obsession. The object of in-breath and out-breath is the materiality. You are trying to maximize it. And then the pain comes. Pain is a gate crasher, intruding and disturbing you. So you consider as is something to be get rid of, that all the kinds of, so the latent tendencies are, the anger comes. So, but the best you have to do is, if it is coming without your invitation, without your intention and volition, and if it is still disturbing your primary object, for the moment, consider this as the primary object. Observe it, the beginning, the middle and the end, just without the reaction, just without the negative element or the latent tendency. I accept it's a very serious task. The moment you come to understand, you see it become a raw material for your meditation day. No primary object, secondary object is intruding, prominent, the conspicuous. So therefore you take it. You just see the beginning, the middle and end. So the one way of expressing non-reaction is any phenomena, if you can see the beginning, the middle and the end, that means non-judgmental. then it will be, you understand your mindfulness is very high grade, because now you can tackle a little bit of pains. And some of the perceptions happens. Perception is auspicious, is non-auspicious, this is bad, this is good, kind of value judgment come into being. Whenever the value judgment happens, your mind is being colored. And then onward you see through the blinkers. You see through your colored mind, and therefore you have to understand this perception is a completely independent thing. If you are taking a projector, projecting a film, the perception is the slide. Before that it's a very bright color, and beyond that you see the figures. And when it go and strike on the wall, you see the film. So without that, this thing, it's a bright color. Once you add the black and white celluloid, and everything colored. So likewise, there's one element, when and where phenomena, when and where any experience happen, our mind never see things as they are. It adds something. For example, you people, when you go out, you do decorations. How do you call it? Makeup. You see, it's a part and parcel. You can't go without that. But definitely you know you are distorting the figure. Betterment or bad, whatever may be. So when we are cooking, we are adding so much of things. Ummalakada and all the kind of thing, just to make it tastier. So this aspect is because we don't like the existing thing. As the thing happens, we don't like it. We want to put condiments. We want to put the decorations and all the kind of thing. So we call it creativity. But we don't understand. We do it because we don't simply accept as it as it is. That's why we do. That's called fabrication. That's called mental formations.
In that example of when the pain occurs, so there is form, the feeling is there. Is the perception also automatic? It's like from our previous conditioning that also happened.
Yeah.
So the volitional formation, is that also automatic, or is that what we, because it's the equanimous and we can, is that what we stop?
That is what we are aiming at in our meditation. See volition and volitions. See perception and perception. Feelings, pleasurable, painful as such. And the mind is such. Materiality as such. So you separate them, delimitate them. And this is the materiality, this is the feeling of the hardness, softness come into being, and the feeling happens, and the goodness, badness, and the auspicious, unauspicious, the perception, and you two cutting the corners and make it shape up volitional involvement, and how the mind separating the this is materiality, this is feeling, this is perception, this is kind of, these things you separate it out as if you are dissecting an animal. You are doing yourself as and when it happens. So then when the five go separately, the entity becomes completely different thing. It becomes like a scientific experiment. Rather than I am doing and my doing might happening, so you can do. So for that you have to get the distance. And that is what we get from the mindfulness. You are observing just like a camera, observing your performance. And you are ready to see action replay slow motion, and you can see how I performed. But you have to observe just to see things as they are. That is your observation, not to give higher marks or not to have the value judgment. See things as they are. It's also just like this why you aggregate yet another option in our mind.
So when you're observing, the perception you can observe because it arises, but when you really observe it, it's almost like the volitional, I don't know whether I'm using the wrong term, that doesn't take place because it's not propagated, because you're...
No, propelling is stopped.
because I see it as not pain, but
see things as they are, you accept as it is, without adjusting, without cutting the corners, without decorating it. And not only that, you must not try to cutting it corners, you must not stop decorating. You see decoration as decoration. You see the adjustments as if someone else. Alien observation. So therefore, for example, when you are doing something, listen to your own sounds. Don't try to stop the sound making. You just do this normal way, just listen the sounds you are emitting. You see, it's a completely different you become. You definitely will ask, can't I do this with the little sounds? I mean, that is not the original in the advice. It is just listen to your sounds. Automatically you become self-conscious. Just do something little in slow manner. Automatically you become self-conscious. Likewise, that you have to understand this is a function of 5 aggregates. So may I see them separate way. Then you can't see the drama. Drama is no more, you can see the mechanism. For example, if you see a cartoon film, and you should have particular speed, then only the animation happens. If you run slow, what happens? You can't see drama. You can see how these slides are going to make a moving hand, and whenever you see the mechanism, you can't see the tragedy and comedy. Drama lost, you see the mechanism. This is the what fearful thing for us. We always try to see the drama, we don't see the person who is acting. So Buddha says, while see the drama, just see how it happens because of the speed. Because of the speed of the animation happens. Whenever the speed becomes high or low, there's something going wrong in the taste. So specifically in the cartoon films, if you run slow, you can understand there are no people, there are no animals, just lines.
That's the reaction, right? Like when you're under like say in the cartoon show you see it going, and then if you react to it, exactly so what I'm confused, not confused. I want to understand clearly, is that the reaction, is that the volitional formation? Like what is volitional formation?
Yeah, you are correct that volition is the one reaction because you don't like the given combination.
The other ones come automatically.
What do you mean by others?
The form, feeling.
Yeah, they are the other, in the drama they are the other actors. But the volition is the one taking the helm and directing. It says when the teacher is not there, the monitor is there. Monitor is the one controlling as far as no teacher is concerned. And there's a team of rovers are there. One person has to take the helm and direct the boat. The rovers are the energy. The person who's directing the rudder is the volition. Usually we don't care. We don't know such a mechanism. It appears like that is naturally given. It's an inbuilt system. But the Buddha says, just please observe. And to see that, just little slow down. And when you slow down, you can understand how these things happen out of your likings and disliking, out of your personality traits, out of your all the conditioning. They are automatically happen. You feel secure then. Whenever you see the mechanism, you lose. You become vulnerable. You feel cornered. You feel like boring. So that is why people are not happy meditation. Otherwise, everyone has experience. But you don't know how to put it in the correct perspective, correct communication. All the good part of the experience you consider as bad. All the bad thing you consider as good. So then get mixed up. Then rotating in the same place. Whenever the happiness and everything happen, very good. And because you are boosting your ego. You are developing kind of a likeness to the meditation. And the Buddha presenting the Four Noble Truths was the first one. Suffering. But in the meditation, what you are trying to get rid of it. When the suffering happens, you say, this is not releasing from suffering, this is creating suffering. Why should we meditate like? And we have to put it in the correct perspective. Only thing is you are developing the immunity from the lower level of suffering to slowly putting up the threshold value. You accustom yourself, acclimatize yourself, capacitize yourself for the higher level of suffering, and still you find no damage as such. Because your perspective is changing, your personality becomes high immunized, high cultured. Okay, that we are going to turn into the Singlish medium now.
You want a break?